So I finally finished Dracula, and I did a little annotating. I'm planning on adding memes, probably when Dracula Daily's over, but I just wanted to show you that I have some thought and stuff. Like, hold on, it's pretty early on. We have a whole analysis on what Jonathan's name means and how it connects to the themes of Dracula right there. Boom, religion, boom, fear, yada, 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 yada. It's a horror novel, you all know what you're getting into. We also have some stating of the obvious. Dracula is a Teaboo. He's a massive Teaboo. And some other good notes, yeah. There it is again. And there's more name stuff. Isn't it fun? More religion. More Christianity. Yeah, also, love this part. Love that Lucy uses triple question marks. I was right whenever I wrote this. It truly is a human mood. I personally think that Bram Stoker added homoerotic undertones to this because he was friends with Oscar Wilde, and this was published 2 years after Oscar Wilde went to jail for sleeping with men. So I feel like Bram Stoker was just kind of trying to distance himself, being like, I know I'm connected to Oscar Wilde, but please don't send me to jail. I'm not like that. And I think people were like, oh, gay people exist. And Bram Stoker was like, they do, but it's still illegal, so we're gonna pretend it's scary. Did you know that Dracula was also a romance? I didn't before I read it, but like, yeah, it's a romance. It's actually a good one, and like, hold on, proof that I was not just making it up there. Horror romance by the book itself. Definitely my favorite description of a person in this book is just pointing at a dude and being like, that's the lunatic asylum man. And like, yeah, he sure is. Wish they did that with Quincy too. Point at him and be like, that's the cowboy. Because like, yeah, he is. We got some Shakespeare foreshadowing. Bram Stoker really made his characters like Shakespeare, especially Jonathan and Lucy. They both quote him or like reference him multiple times. I guess they're fanboys and fangirls. That's nice. More name meanings. Only one religion. Well, only one religious. I mean, they're all Christian or Jewish names. If they're religious all, but I mean, like, right now only stewards of the 3 suitor squad members is religious, but don't worry, Arthur's becomes religious later, and it proves that he's ready to fight vampires, because that's what religion means in this book. The ability to punch a vampire in the face and win. Back to name fear symbolism. After Mina marries Jonathan, she changes her last name to Harker, and if you didn't read the last note, Harker means both like stag, deer, and also hare, and they're both prey animals, and one of the big fears of the book is being hunted by Dracula. So like the fact that Mina becomes prey shows that she's gonna be hunted by Dracula, which like she sure does get that. Very sad for her. I found the Arthur name change. So his dad was Lord Godalming, and then his dad died, so Arthur becomes the new Lord Godalming, and it's like a very subtle thing, you know, God, alms, yeah. My reactions to women becoming vampires in this were so different, because I was like, yeah, Lucy finally becomes a vampire and does stuff, because it takes like 50 pages of her obviously becoming a vampire, but when Mina starts turning, I'm like, no, you're too sexy, don't turn. I basically just like copy and pasted Wikipedia for this. All because one knife was mentioned. It does get mentioned again later in the book, but like it's not even that important. Like, it's just a fun shape, I think. There's not really any connection or why he has it. But like Quincy has a Bowie knife, and at least that makes sense because Bowie knives are American and he's American. So, you know, yeehaw. I just want to clarify on the knife part. So Jonathan does have a knife, a blade, a sword for a specific reason. It's for vampire hunting, Dracula hunting reasons. But there's no reason why it's specifically a Kukuri blade. Yeah, I do think it's literally just because it was a fun shape. Van Helsing uses too much Latin. I get that he has like 5 PhDs, and also that it's, you know, a Christian book and Latin is tied to Christianity, but oh my god, did I hate having to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just speak. Van Helsing already speaks weirdly anyway, and like just throwing in Latin all the time was you know. But ooh, ship names that tied to history and foreshadowing. Isn't that fun? That's so much more fun than Latin. Sorry, Preeti. The amount of bribery that our good guys do is like pretty funny. It happens multiple times through the book. But I don't know, I think it's kind of funny because they're like, oh, you know, Dracula's kind of scary because he's rich, he has all this power, but I'm like, Arthur's fucking rich too, he's a literal lord, and all of you are like, I'm so glad we have money through him, so I'm like, just pick one. Which is it? Is money good or bad? We love role reversals here. They're great. The amount of psychic damage I got when Quincy was just like, I have a kind of belief in a Winchester. We should add Winchesters, you know, they're great, we need Winchesters, and I'm just like immediately brain rot supernatural. And I'm just like, are we really bringing them into here? Time travel fic? See, I told you there was a lot of bribery in here from the good guys. Judge Moneybag will settle this case. They're all just like, thank God for Arthur. Literally, thank God this is a country where bribery can do anything. And we are well supplied with money because of Arthur. Like, I don't know, I think it's just funny. So Dracula included some like modern criminology, philosophy stuff in it. So I was like, you know what? I'll do something similar. I think it's pretty fitting because Van Helsing was just like, I had a duck thought, but now it has evolved into a swan thought, you know, like Pokemon. And then immediately, but like, that's a nice page, you know, there's just like one little note, and then immediately after it's like, oh my god, I wrote too much. I wrote too fucking much that I had to overlap it, and I don't like it. Half of it, again, is like looking up Latin. Oh god, Van Helsing, please stop with the Latin. Anyway, I hated the criminology stuff. It's stupid, it doesn't make sense. It was basically just like, I think people are born criminals, and I'm like, no they're not. No they're not. And I wrote, there it is, that Van Helsing was just like, all criminals are selfish, and I'm like, not necessarily, my dude. If someone is starving and they steal food, do you think they're selfish for that? I mean, I guess in the sense that, like, they're taking money from the store owners or farmers or whatever, but I don't think it's an inherently selfish thing to want to survive. I understand how some crime could be considered selfish, but it's really weird to paint all of it. That's it. Anyway, yeah, more Latin. I hate the Latin. And then Mina starts speaking Latin, and I'm like, oh god, Mina, no, not you too. To add to the crime stuff, being gay was a crime in England at this time. Bram Stoker's friend Oscar Wilde got arrested for sleeping with men. Was that selfish? How is being gay selfish? That doesn't make sense. I mean, like, being gay should not be a crime, but it was at the time. So, like, it's still under this umbrella, but it makes no sense. Your theory makes no sense. I gotta draw again. That was nice. There were just, like, some sailors that were like, we don't want this weird box here. It's got bad vibes. Ew, 2-finger evil eye symbol. And I was just like, what is that? And it's the rock on symbol. That's fun. Yeah, I do think they should have just thrown the box overboard because of the bad vibes. But I don't know if Dracula would be able to survive underwater. Would he? Would he be fished out? Would he just die down there? Can they drown? Can vampires drown? Some people think Dracula is anti-Semitic, partially because just tying like blood drinking and stuff to blood libel, which personally I think is a stretch. But also because Dracula is about xenophobia, the fear of immigrants taking over, and the main group of people who are immigrating to the UK during the time that Bram Stoker wrote this was Russian Jews, and Bram Stoker focused a lot more on like the Eastern European part of Dracula. You know, obviously everyone knows Dracula's Romanian, which is Eastern Europe, not Slavic, which are Russians, but like, whatever. But there is a single Jew in here, and he's described as being a theater type, and I tried Googling it, and I couldn't find anything except for the theater that he was referenced from, but I just think it means he's hot. Is that what it means when you call someone a theater type? Does it mean they look like a rock star? Like a movie star? Does it just mean they're hot? And the book ends. It ends pretty quickly. Yeah, I had some, like, final questions and just notes. really, Renfield's a weird guy. I didn't think I talked about him at all in this weird info dump crash course of Dracula. But Renfield was an insane asylum patient, and he was in there because he had, I think it was pronounced zoophalangy or whatever. Basically, he would eat flies, and then he'd be like, I need to get more powerful, so I'll feed these flies to spiders, and then I'll eat the spiders, and then I'll, like, do that again, get some flies, feed them to spiders, and then feed the spiders to birds, and then I want to eat the birds, or just to get more powerful, and I'm like, it's kind of similar to the idea of how Dracula drinks blood to get powerful. But yeah, Renfield's a bit of a weirdo, but, like, I like him. He's a fun one. Yes, I did it for fun. I'm gonna be honest, I was inspired by Dracula Daily, the email campaign, and I was seeing a bunch of Tumblr memes, and I'm like, wait, this is funny! Dracula's funny! And I started reading it, and I'm like, yeah, Dracula's kind of funny. And then it got serious, and I'm like, ooh, wait, it's good, though. The writing's good, I'm into it. And honestly, I, like, didn't start analyzing it, writing notes right away. I kind of added stuff later, because I was like, oh, wait, I got into it. I like it. I have thoughts. There's actual, like, stuff to analyze and think about here. Interesting. I think it's because it's a horror novel as well. There's usually stuff to analyze about a horror novel because you gotta be like, oh, well, what fear is this portraying? But yeah, you should read Dracula. It's good. The middle drags a bit and is kind of repetitive, but, like, overall, very good.